Hey everyone, I hope you are doing well. For this video, I want to talk a little bit about your learning activity for time sampling. Keep in mind that across the semesters, I sometimes switch up the order of assignments. This semester, the time sampling assignment is learning activity 4, but in other semesters, it's been learning activity 5. So don't get thrown off by the number, the content is going to be the same. For this assignment, you are going to watch a video that is 5 minutes in length, and you are going to code the video using whole interval, partial interval, and momentary time sampling procedures. You might find it beneficial to watch this video a few times. You should at least watch it 3 times when you're using each of the coding procedures, but I would also recommend watching it once or twice through before you start coding. You are then going to download the time sampling data collection sheet. You can do that by clicking here on the link. Keep in mind that your view might look a little bit different from my view, but the data sheet that I want you to use is attached to the assignment. When you open it, this is what it's going to look like. The observer's name is you. You'll write your name right here. You can put the date and the observation length. These aren't so important for this assignment, but I wanted you to get in the habit of creating data sheets for your clients that do have the date and the observation length. And then you're going to put the behavior of interest. The behavior of interest changes each semester. The semester when I'm making this video, the behavior happens to be hand clasping, but I switch it up. Sometimes it's nose tapping or raising my hand or tapping my head or, I don't know, picking my nose. I've never made that one. It's kind of gross, but I could. But keep in mind that the behavior changes. You may find it helpful to write the operational definition of your behavior here before you start coding. This observation is set to go through 5 minutes, so you will be recording each video for 5 minutes of data. Keep in mind that sometimes the videos run a few seconds over. This is just because I have to close out applications in the video, but you should only record and calculate data for 5 minutes. So once you run out of spaces on this data sheet, you are done. The first column is where you're going to record your momentary time sampling. This one is the whole interval, and this one is the partial interval. Down the left-hand side, you'll notice some numbers. These numbers will cue you to the interval that you are in when you're using the whole interval and partial interval recording, and it's going to keep you on track when you're using momentary time sampling. For the whole interval or partial interval recording, the videos have an audio tape that says 1 1, 1 2, 1 3, 1 4, 1 5, 1 6, all the way through 5 6. And this is supposed to serve as a prompt or a cue for you that you should be in a certain interval. Coding momentary time sampling, using momentary time sampling is a little bit different because instead of having the audio tape that says 1 1, you'll hear a bell or a beep, and this is your cue to look up and record if the behavior is occurring or not occurring. I missed saying it, but at the very bottom of that data sheet it says percent intervals. That's where you will calculate the percentage of intervals in which the behavior occurred for each of the time sampling procedures. So keep in mind that although this is set up as a quiz in Canvas, there is no time limit, and you can do a couple of them, save it, and then come back to it at a later point. It's just easier to set the assignment up this way, so for grading purposes and to make sure that you include all of the required components. So for the first question, you are going to operationally define that behavior. Remember that the behavior changes depending upon the semester. So even if you're watching this video and your behavior is, say, what I mentioned before, nose picking, you'll want to look right here and it'll tell you what behavior you are looking for given the semester. For question 2, you are simply going to upload the completed data sheet, the one that I just showed you. My recommendation to you is to print out the data sheet and code your data using a pen or a pencil or a Sharpie, and then to scan it or take a picture of it and upload it. Sometimes people try to complete the data collection on the computer, and oftentimes they are not as accurate as those who use a pen or a pencil because you can kind of keep track of the interval that you're in. Then you're going to get to the coding. So this is the video that you will watch for the momentary time sampling. When you open this video, it will say something to the effect of, "This is an intervention central video." You'll hear a beep that signals the start of the video, and then you are going to hear bells at 10-second fixed intervals. Remember, for momentary time sampling, you will look up when you hear the bell and record whether or not the behavior was occurring at that moment. Here is the whole interval and the partial interval video. These are all the same videos. The whole interval and the partial interval have a different type of audio track. In this one, like I mentioned before, you'll hear 1 1, 1 2, 1 3, and that will cue you for the interval. So when you hear the voice say 1 1, you'll look on your data sheet and you will be recording in the 1 1 row whether or not the behavior occurred. Now remember, for whole interval recording, the behavior needs to occur for the duration of the interval, versus with partial interval recording, you would record the behavior as occurring anytime that the behavior occurred during the interval, if it occurred at all. Different people like to record different ways. I tend to use ones and zeros. 1 means that the behavior occurred, 0 means it didn't occur. Some other people will use pluses and minuses. That's up to you, whatever you are comfortable with. Just make sure that you are accurately collecting your data. Then for question 6, you are going to look at each measurement system and you're going to identify whether the occurrence of the behavior is accurate, an overestimate, or an underestimate of the behavior. So you can simply write whole interval recording, what happened with your data, and then provide a brief explanation. Then you will do the same for partial interval and momentary time sampling. I hope this video helped to clarify this assignment. Please let your instructor know if you have any questions. Thanks.